So hello everyone, welcome again to my channel, the MBBS Hub. Today we are going to study about the histology of the stomach. So let's start the topic. Now stomach, as we know, stomach is a hollow muscular organ that receives food bolus from the esophagus. The food passes through the esophagus and enters the stomach, and here it is converted into a thick paste called chyme. So from here we can get to know that when the food is traveling in the esophagus, that time it is known as bolus, and after it reaches the stomach, it is converted into a thick paste and then it is known as chyme. So now if we move to the next part, anatomically the stomach is divided into four regions. They are number 1 the cardia, number 2 is the fundus, number 3 the body region, and the pylorus region. So we'll see this in the diagram. So here we can see this is this here the esophagus is coming and esophagus is ending, and this region is the cardiac end. After that, this notch, it is the fundus end. After that we come down and this is the body region, and from where the stomach is ending and the duodenum is starting, this is the pylorus region. And important thing that this part is the antrum region. Now if we look the walls of the stomach, then we will see that there are four basic layers. So the innermost is the mucous membrane, then we'll see the submucosa, then the muscularis externa, and the outermost layer will be the serosa. Now we will study each individual layer in detail. So number 1, the mucous membrane. Mucous membrane, it consists of a lining epithelium that is supported by the lamina propria and the muscularis mucosa. Here the lining epithelium has a structure, and this structure is the honeycomb like structure, and at numerous places this epithelium dips and it dips into the lamina propria and forms the depressions. Now these depressions are known as the gastric pits, and these gastric pits receive the ducts of the gastric glands. These gastric pits receive the ducts of the gastric gland. Now the surface and pits are lined by the simple columnar epithelium, which is resting on a basement membrane. Now deep to this gastric pit, the mucous membrane is packed with numerous gastric glands. So first we'll get the gastric pit, and when we'll go deep, then we'll get the gastric glands. So we'll see this in the diagram. So first of all, these are the simple columnar cells, simple columnar epithelium cells. Then this region is the gastric pit, see in the diagram. Then this region is the gastric gland, and after that this is the lamina propria, and this region is the muscularis mucosa region. So these are the simple columnar epithelium. Then this region is the gastric pit. After that the gastric gland, which are getting a bit deeper. Then the lamina propria, and after that the muscularis mucosa. So lamina propria. Lamina propria is relatively scanty and restricted to pits and glands. Now this lamina propria is made up of connective tissue like the reticular fibers with fibroblasts and some other connective tissues. Now occasionally we can get some lymphoid tissue in the lamina propria. Now muscularis mucosa. The muscularis mucosa of the stomach is thin layered. Here the smooth muscle cells are present and helps in the expulsion of secretion of the gastric glands. Now what is the function of the smooth muscle? The smooth muscle helps in the expulsion of the secretion of the gastric glands. So the next layer is the submucosal layer. It consists of a dense irregular connective tissue with blood vessels, adipose tissue, lymphatics, and nerve plexus. So let's see those in the diagram. We will see here, this is the submucosal layer. So here we can see this is the blood vessel, and here this is the adipose tissue, and the blood vessels. Now our next layer is the muscularis externa. So the muscularis externa of the stomach is very well developed, and it consists of 3 layers. Now what are those 3 layers? So we should remember the inner layer or the innermost layer is the oblique muscle, then the middle layer is formed by the circular muscle, and then the outer layer is formed by the longitudinal muscles. So the inner oblique layer is present only in the fundus and the body region. Okay, this layer is formed by smooth muscle fibers. So this inner oblique layer is formed by the smooth muscle fibers. Now middle layer or middle circular layer, this is greatly thickened at the pylorus to form the sphincteric component of the pyloric sphincter. So the sphincter that is present in the pyloric end is the pyloric sphincter, and this helps to form the sphincteric component of the pyloric sphincter. Okay, this outer longitudinal layer covers the entire organ and is thickened along the curvatures. So along the curvatures, the outer longitudinal layer is thickened, and this layer helps in the expulsion of the gastric contents into the duodenum. This helps to expel the gastric contents from the stomach to the duodenum. So we'll see this in the diagram. So this is the diagram. Here we can see that this is the inner oblique layer of the muscularis externa. Then this is the medial circular layer, and then this is the outer longitudinal layer. So our next layer is the serosa layer. So the serosa is derived from the peritoneum, and it continues with the parietal peritoneum of the abdomen via the greater omentum and the visceral peritoneum of the liver via the lesser omentum. So the gastric serosa in this stomach it is derived from the peritoneum, and it is continuous with the parietal peritoneum of the abdomen via the greater omentum. So with the parietal peritoneum, it is connected with the greater omentum, and the visceral peritoneum of liver via the lesser omentum. Now the lesser curvature, greater curvature, and the bare area is devoid of the serosa. You should remember the lesser curvature, the greater curvature, and the bare area is devoid of serosa. So the serosa is the outermost layer. Here we can see this is the serosa layer. So now we will see the microscopic view of the stomach. Okay. So this is the microscopic view of the stomach. So this is the lumen. So now if we go downwards, so here we can see this is the lumen part. After that, this region is the simple columnar epithelium. After that, this part here is the gastric pit. So gastric pit will be in the superficial part, and if we go deep, so this region, it is the gastric gland. After that, this layer is the muscularis mucosa layer. After that, this layer, it is the submucosa layer. Then we can see a blood vessel here. This is a blood vessel, and after that, below that, there is the muscularis external layer. This is the muscularis external layer. So we can revise it once again. This is the luminal side. After that, we can get the simple columnar epithelium, that is the lining epithelium for the stomach. After that, we can get the gastric pit here, and then which is gastric pit is superficial, and then the gastric gland, which is deeper. After that, we can get the muscularis mucosa layer, then the submucosal layer, and after that, this the blood vessel, and below to that, there we can get the muscularis external layer. So now we will study the identification points on the basis of which we can identify a slide as the slide of stomach. So the wall will be made up of 4 layers. Number 1, the mucosa, submucosa, muscularis, and serosa. Now there will be shallow gastric pits which will be occupying the superficial part of the mucosa. Now we will get some shallow gastric pits which will occupy the superficial parts of the mucosa, and then we will get the gastric glands which will be deep into the mucosa. The gastric glands will be deep into the mucosa, and there will be the muscularis layer with blood vessels below the submucosal layer. There will be the muscularis layer with the blood vessel below the submucosal layer. Okay, muscularis layer will be there with blood vessel. So with this, we conclude our today's lecture. Thank you everyone for watching this video. If you people find the video informative and interesting, then please like the video, subscribe the channel, and share these videos to your friends. Thank you. See you in next video.